Hello. Good evening. Shivangini, are you there? Am I audible to all?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, fine. Then we'll start. I'm happy to see you all at 7 o'clock also. You are very active. So good evening everyone once again. So today we'll start an add-on course on JSP, Java Server Pages. Right? So our eminent alumni is giving you some of the information about JSP and all. Java servlets. Based on Java, she is working. So her name is Ashwini Kodse, and she is working as an developer, Java developer in a company, Celestial V Solutions, Bangalore. And since 1.5 years, she is working as a Java developer. Right? If you have any queries regarding Java or any development queries like how to develop Java code, Java objects, and all, so you can ask. Right? Shall we begin? So I'll give a mic to Ashwini Godse now. So let her start the class. Right? Okay. Ashwini, over to you.
Hello everyone. This is Ashwini. Good evening. Hello.
Hello. You just respond it to her, no? If anything she asked you, you just give a response for her. Right? So shall we begin? Okay. Fine. Now we'll just.
Okay, let's start. So here, to develop any Java application or any web application, you need to understand what are the things we should have so that we can develop one web application. For example, if you want to do some registration, simple application like registration and login. Okay, that time, what are the things you need? For example, if I want to register something, so if I'm keeping registration and login, so if I want whatever the information I'll give while registering, that information should be stored in somewhere. So somewhere means what? You can use a database or JSON object, something like that. So here we'll be using a database that is called MySQL database. So for example, I'm registering, I just developed one application. So I'm using registration and login. So while login, if I want to log in, I should register first. So while login, what it should do, it should match my username and password, right? So to do that, I want to store while registering whatever the data I'll give, that data should be stored in where? In the database. So for that, I need to connect my application with database. So J2EE. So you already know code that contains JDBC, servlet, and J. How we are going to connect this database? So here we are using JDBC. Can you see this screen? Hello. Aishwarya? Sheetal? Hello. I hope you can see this screen. That is, I shared just a PPT. That is JDBC. So what is JDBC? So you should know first whatever you want to learn. First you should know where we are using it. Right. So for example, you are learning JDBC. Where we are going to apply it. Okay. So in our web application, we are using JDBC for Java application and database connectivity. JDBC stands for Java Database Connectivity. So what it will do, JDBC just and database, you should follow some steps. First is the driver. Next, create a connection. Create load. So here we are using dynamically load drivers class files into memory so that I can use that driver class, that is nothing but com.mysql.jdbc driver is inside the double quotes here. So we can use it to load that driver. Okay. Class.forName method. The first step is to what? Loading the driver. So the next step is create the connection. So now I have one application, one software that is Eclipse, another software that is MySQL. So now what I want to do, from this one Eclipse to whatever the Java program I'm writing inside the Eclipse, I should connect with the MySQL data method. So this get connection method takes three arguments, that is URL, user. So you want what like for example, I want to connect and which database you should connect. That information you should provide in the URL part. Next, you have username. Username is by default for MySQL, it will be root. And password. Password is while installing. So you should install some software, right, before using it. So whenever I want to learn MySQL or I want to work in MySQL, means I should install it first. So while installing, I should give password. It will ask some password thing. So by default, we'll give admin only as a password. So whenever second step you want to perform, that time you should provide a proper URL to your database and as well as username and password. While teaching the coding, I'll just tell you how exactly we can give a URL and username and password. Next, we have create statement. So once connection is done, you should create a statement. So what this statement will do is, it is going to send SQL command and receive data from it. For that, we need to create a statement. That is a third step. Fourth step is to perform SQL query. I have to follow some syntax for updating, inserting, retrieving. So you should follow some syntax. So where you can get that syntax? So we are using here SQL query. Query language we are using here. So using that, I can execute that query using that statement. I can execute my query so that I can fetch the information, or if I want, I can insert the information or data, or if I want update delete operation, I can perform. So you are going to type some lines of code which is syntax about some CRUD operations on the database. Okay. Last will be closing the connection. That connection. So what is the display? Those all information. Access that. You have create table. So for login and registration, what are the things? Two tables you'll be having, or else only one table. So for registration, I want to create. So that is nothing but user. So once I want to create a table, how I create table name. So table name is nothing but, for example, I'm going to give table name as a m underscore register. So inside that, you should specify the column name properly. For example, I want to create a one table for registration. So how I'll create table name is nothing but m underscore registration, something like that. And column name, how you are going to give column name is nothing but username, that is varchar, or else first user id, that is integer. So integer, that value you should provide, and username, password, email address, phone number. Like that, you should specify the column name and what data type. So here data type is nothing but you for string value it will come string, not like that. For string it will be varchar, and for integer it will be int. So like this, what we can do, we can create a table. Next we have insert data. So if I want to insert any data, I should follow that syntax. That is nothing but insert into table name. So m underscore registration, for example. Values is nothing but for first column. For first column, I kept integer. Integer means only integer value you should specify. So second column, that is name. So it will be string type. Like this, what you should do, you should specify the values inside this brackets. Next, you have select data. For example, I want to display all information registered. So if I want to register all the information, how I'm going to use select all the information using select star from that table name. Okay. So for example, I just want to extract email address and for column name, that is email, something that will come whenever you want salary. So based on the salary, I can just fetch the employee details, something like that. You can write a queries. So next we have update. Update means you are going to override the information present in the table. So update, what you will give, table name. So for example, m underscore registration. Set. So column name. What are the column names? For example, I want to change my email address. So my email address changed from some name to some other name. So that old name, when a particular user, you will be updating the information. Next also you have delete. So if you do delete from that table, like for example m underscore registration, if you do it, all the information from that table, it will be deleted. So if you want to delete particular information, for example, if you want to delete some user called Jack, that time how we are going to use delete from that table name where condition that user is equal to Jack. Like that, you are going to delete the information. So this is nothing but CRUD operation we'll be using. So using this only, what you are going to do, you are going to perform operations. For example, if you are developing any web application, the main thing you should understand is CRUD operations. So this is the explanation about it. So now I'll just show you how we can create a information, like how we can create a database and all. So here, so I'll just create one database here, create. What is the syntax? Database. So what is the database name? For example, db underscore, I'll give employee, something like this. So what I'll do, I'll create this database. If I run this, you can see that database is created. If I give here refresh, you can see db test is created. But you can see there are, sorry, not db test, dbemp. Okay, so here you can see there are no tables because you have not created tables till now. So now what I'll do, I'll create a table here. So create, what is the syntax for it? Create table. So table name you should provide. So what is the table name? For example, e underscore m underscore emp, I'll get employee. So inside this I should pass column names. So what I'll give, employee number, that is integer value. So that is 10, something like this. And next, employee name, that is for cat. So I'll give here 20. Next, I'll give employee salary, that is 20. So what I'll do, I'll just execute it. Okay, here I should provide data type for cat, that is 20. Okay. So it is created now. If I give refresh here, you can see my table is created. So if I want to make emp number as a primary key, what I can do, I can just alter the table primary key and I'll give auto increment. Auto increment means if you don't insert any value also, it will be incrementing. So once it is done, I'll just use insert query. So how I can do? Insert into what? Table name. So m underscore emp you should provide, and values. So once it is done, you should provide employee number. So name is worker. So you should give single like a hyphen or what you can tell this symbols. Okay, so I'll give Ashwini, and salary also I have specified it as a worker. So I can give something like this. Okay, so I'll just execute this query. You can see if I give refresh here, it is inserted. Okay, now I have given emp num is there, no? That is auto increment. So I can remove it, right? But if you remove it and if you execute this query, it is going to throw an error because your columns, whatever the columns you are specifying, that is not matching to the columns you have created. Okay, for example, here you have a 3 columns, right? So, but you are sending only 2 columns value. So what you should do here, you should provide the column name also here. So for example, I'm giving it for employee name and employee salary. If I execute it, you can see here it is again inserted. So this one is auto incremented. I have not specified emp number, right? But it is auto incremented. Okay, like this we are using insert into, that is insert into, like if I want to insert any data, I can use this query. So if I want to update something, how I can update? Update. Okay, so m underscore emp stable name is equal to, I'll give it as a jack. Okay, I'm not using anywhere where condition. So if I run it, you can see here. So both the employee name is changed as a Jack. But if I want to change only employee number 2 as a Ashwini, that time what I can do, I can use where emp number is equal to something like this, I can use. You can see here. sorry, we can use the update using where option or where option also. That is optional. Where is a optional. But if you use update without where means it will affect all the rows present in the database. If you use where means particular column will be, particular row will be updated. So same for delete also. If I use delete from, okay, delete from m underscore emp means all the data present in this table will be deleted. But if I want to delete only emp number, like employee as a jack person is, I want to delete that employee. So how I can do? Delete from m underscore employee where emp name is equal to, so I can provide here as a jack. See, so that information will be deleted. Here what I can do, so this is for what? Insert, delete and update. So if I want to fetch a data, that time which query I'm going to use? Select. So select star from m underscore emp. This means what? It is going to select all the information. So if I want to select only salary, how I can do? Emp sal. So you can see only emp sal is displayed. Like this, what are the columns? If I want, I can select a columns. If I want whole information only, means I start. So now we can go to Eclipse. So here I'm going to create a new project. Here I'll just choose Tomcat project. So here I'll give JDBC connection. Finish. So you can observe the structure here. Here we have a lib folder inside web.inf and here web.inf/src. So here only I should create a class. So before like if you directly give a class name here, it will take a default as a package, but you should create a package here. Okay, why we need package? To avoid a naming collision, we use a packages. So what are packages in Java is, it is a group of classes or interfaces. So group of classes or interfaces are called as packages. Okay, so here I'll just give it as a is finish. So you created a one class here. So now I'll just you can see here in Java which class name, like what is the name here, database is there. So the same, with the same name only your file will be saved, that is database.java. Extension will be .java itself. Now what I'll give is public static, so get the connection method I'll call. Okay, so inside this is a method I'm writing. Now what I'll do here is, so why it is giving error? Because I have not specified the return type. I should specify the return type here. So I'll be returning my connection object here. So that's why I'll use connection. But again it is throwing error because I should add return statement here. So I'll add it later. Now, so I just explained you about how to connect a Java to database. Now whatever the database operation I showed you, it is in the SQL. Okay, till now we have not connected our Java to database. So now if I want to connect my Java application to database, the first step is to load the driver, that is class dot forName method. So you have a class dot forName method here. So here I should pass one argument. So that is driver, that is com dot MySQL dot. Here I'm using MySQL. If I want Oracle database or so once it is done, you can see it is throwing some, like it is throwing error. Why it is giving some error? It should be why we use try catch block to handle some exceptions. Error can't be handled, but exceptions can be handled. So we can use try catch block. So which exception it is going to throw? Class not found exception. Okay. So now I want to connect it to my database. So what I use, driver manager. This is a driver manager dot get connection. You can see here I'm selecting this get connection method. How many arguments it is like taking. So once I give here, I'll give URL. So username and password. Okay. So here I should specify what is my username, that is URL. Here I'll just specify the URL, that is JDBC MySQL, that is my database, and here it will come localhost. Localhost is nothing but what? It is a host address. Instead of localhost, what you can use your IP address also, system IP address. Okay, every system will be having different IP address, so you can use those IP address also. Okay, so here what I'll do, 3306 database. And what is my database name? db underscore emp. So once it is done, I'll just give a semicolon and I'll end it. Once it is done, I'll give username. That is, username is by default, I mentioned you that username will be by default root, and password will be while installing the application, I have specified password as an admin. Whatever the password you want, you can give, but you should remember it and you should provide that password here. So I have provided as a password as an admin while installing. So I'm giving admin only. And this line, it is giving error because it is going to throw SQL exception. So I'll just, you can see it is going to throw SQL exception. That's why it was giving error. So again, it is giving error because I should add a return statement here. So for that, I'll just give it as a connection. So just now what we created a connection here. So I'll just add a return statement here, that is return connection. Just what I'll do here is, in other programming languages, we'll be using, for example, in C, we'll be using printf to print some info. In Java, we'll be using system.out., some statement. So what I'll do, I'll just use connected, so that whenever I call this method, it should connect to MySQL database. But if I run this application, it won't be executed. Why? The reason is, every programming language, for example in C, if you want to run your application main method, so same in Java also, you should have a main method. So that is public here. So once it is done, if I run this Java application, now I'll run this Java application, you can see it is throwing some error, that is class not found error, that is com.mysql.jdbc.driver. That error it is giving. Why it is giving that error means you should add some jar files. So jar contains some classes, Java classes. So that jar you should add here. So I have MySQL connect Java jar file here. I'll copy that jar file and you should paste it in the lib folder. So here from this, I should do build path and add to build path. What it will do, fine. If I run my application now, it will be connected to that jar file because to load this driver. If I want this driver and to load some Java classes, I should use that jar file. Okay. Once it is connected, so you know now it is connected. How means this system.out.println is displaying these two. So now I'll just take a connection object here and I want information present in the database, or else I'll insert one value and I want all the information to be displayed. So what I'll use, after exactly creating a connection, you should create a statement. So create statement method. So once you call create statement method, I'll just declare it. So once you call create statement method, using this statement, what you can do, you can execute a query. First, what I'll do, I'll call execute update and I'm going to insert some information. So if I want to insert some information into the database query, I'm going to use insert into. I just explain. So insert into, that is m underscore emp. So here I'm going to specify column names, that is emp name and emp salary. So values I should provide here. So here I'll give values as like this. Or else I can just remove. So once I write this query, so what this query will do, it is going to insert that information into the database. So what I'll get here is I'll get a result set. Okay, result set is nothing but it is a data. By doing one statement is like once this query is executed, it is going to send some data that will be stored in the result set. I'm going to, so what I'll do, I'll just create another result set for selecting information. Same statement only I'm going to use execute query. Here I'm going to use execute query. What I'll do is I'll select all the information from the database. That is select star from m underscore emp. All the information from the database. So here I'll just give rs1. You can see this is a result set. This is an integer value because once you perform insert operation, so if it is result set is more greater than that rs is greater than 1 means that time your operation is properly done. If it is less than 0 means what it is like that information insert query is not properly executed. It is throwing some error like that. So this rs is integer and this rs1 is it is a result set. So now once I get a result, first I'll just comment it so that I can just identify whether my information is properly saved in database or not. I just want to check. So instead of Ashwini, I'll just give John, something like this. Okay, so I'll just run this application. You can see it is connected. If I go here and if I click refresh, so it is inserted. That is 3 John 2000. So again, what I'll do, I'll just change John to Johnny something, and I'll make it an application. If I go and refresh here, so Johnny 30,000. Like this is going to insert. Now I display that result set. If you want, I can show that information rs1. So now I'm printing rs1 directly. So if I run this Java, you can see application. You can see com.mysql. That is nothing but it is a value of that result set. But I want information present in that result set. Means how we can extract is I can use while loop. Why we need to use while loop here is because I want to check whether that result set contains some information or not. So for that we have a method called next. That result set contains some information. I'll just use system.out.println. So here I'll give user employee ID. I'll give employee ID. So here what I'll give rs1 dot, sorry, rs1 dot get int of 1. So why I took 1 is you are selecting all the information from the table. So it means the first column is your integer value. So for that only I used get int of 1. So now I'll use employee name. So here for employee name, what is the data type of employee name? That is varchar. So I can use get string of, that is a second column. So 2. Same thing. What I'll do here is last one is employee salary. So for employee salary, what is the data type? That is string itself. So get the string of rs1 dot get string of day. That is third column. So like this, what I can do, I can fetch and display a data from the database. If I run this, you can see. So it is like this. So all the information, that is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So like this, what I can do, I can extract all the data. For example, here I'll give Jack, and if I run it, you can see now you don't have any EMP name. If I run it, you can see it is going to insert the data as well as it is going to display that information to you. This is just about how we are connecting your database with the, like Java with the database. So how use in the web application is you can just send a request from the browser, that is from the client. When I start explaining about servlet and JSP, that time I'll explain you how we can send the data from the browser to your server, from server to how we can already you know how to store a data. Once you get the information from the browser to server, easily you can insert a data to your database. It is very simple, only 5 lines of code. But why I did this 2 lines of word steps differently means, because you can see here statement will be using for everything. But once it is connected to database, we don't need to create like connect to database every time. Only one time if it is connected means I can do insert operation also, select operation also using same connection object. Right, for that only I have specified, I have written that 2 steps of that steps differently in the different method, so that I can do all the information using the same object. So this is how we are going to connect our Java application with the database. If you have any queries, please ask me. Have any doubts or any queries regarding these 5 steps, or how we are going to use some information, like anything you want to ask, you can ask me.
Hello? Any Akhil? How was the session? Asha? Are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Any doubts? Did you understood the topic? Yes. Anybody? How was the session? Covered in the next session on Friday or next Tuesday. Right? Okay, thank you, Ashwini, for the wonderful session, and thank you for sharing your valuable information. Fine. Okay. Leave now.